Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman Miniature Game 3rd Edition Battle Report. Today we have 350 rep of Teen Titans, so it's a team versus the Court of Owls, which does mean that they're just using the neutral deck for objectives, but the Teen Titans can use most of the Batman ones, but there is also some neutral ones mixed in. The rules for teams are for every affiliation present in the team you can have up to 6 objective cards of that affiliation, so since they're all Batman affiliation anyway, you can essentially craft them like that. But anyway, let's take a closer look at the teams. So given that there are still no 3rd edition rules for speedsters or magic users, this is the Teen Titans setup that we're seeing today. So we're seeing the Arkham Knight, Dick Grayson, then we also have Hawk, Dove, Beast Boy with his 3 transformations there at the back, which if you haven't read the most recent version of the compendium, the base rule for Shapeshifter made no sense. It meant that you could just die over and over as Beast Boy, so be sure to be using the up-to-date version. And we have Starfire as well, and then there's their objective deck with their cards there, obviously 2nd edition cards, but easy enough to transfer into 3rd edition. And this is our Court of Owls crew, and it's actually just the old Court of Owls bat box, complete with dog hair there. So it's Lincoln Marsh, the Talon, Strix, the 1970s Talon, I can't remember, Zhao I think his name is, and the Gotham Butcher there at the back. As mentioned, their objective deck just has to be the neutral cards, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but obviously not exactly suited around them. They're more closely related to something like the League of Assassins, where they are all about the murder. But regardless of that, a neutral objective deck. So we don't know yet what deployment type we have to use or what twist there is, so let's go find that out. Alright, here we are. Let's random ourselves up a deployment type. Secure the area. So it looks like you have a choice between opposing corners. Choose one friendly henchman model. That model... Oh, hang on. Henchman? The Teen Titan team has no henchmen. Choose one friendly henchman model. That model is not deployed normally. Instead, before rolling for initiative in any round, you may place the model in contact with a friendly suspect marker and then remove the marker. They won't see me coming. I guess we can still do this one, but as I said, the Teen Titans have no henchmen. They're all either free agents or sidekicks. So I guess they just can't take advantage of this. Well, actually, we should probably say both sides don't, just to keep it fair, because that is obviously an oversight for teams, because teams very often don't have henchmen. Either way, and the twist. Exposed. At the start of each raise to plan phase, beginning with the player with initiative, each player chooses an enemy model. During that model's activation, the controlling player cannot play objective cards. Okay, so in the raise to plan phase, you say, hey, that model in your team, during their turn, they can't score any objective cards. That would have been really good against certain League of Assassins ones, speaking of the League of Assassins. Interesting. Alright, that's what we're going to do. We'll see how it goes. So both sides are deployed and we're about ready to go, but first of all we need to cover the inexperience points rule for 3rd edition for the Teen Titans. In 3rd edition, the way it works is that you still get 4 inexperience points, which is lowered by 1 for every one of the sidekick or leader rank that you bring. So it's down to 3 because of bringing Dick as the leader. But the way they act in this one, and it is actually very poorly worded and easily manipulative, to be manipulative is not a word. It can be manipulated if you wanted to, and we're playing it rules as written. But rules as written, they're given out by the opponent to Teen Titans, and then the player controlling the Teen Titans get to choose one roll they make per turn that has to have a dice taken away. So say they're rolling 4 dice for an attack, take one away, it becomes 3. However, it lets the Teen Titans player choose, at least as far as the wording seems to imply. So you either know for sure how many rolls you intend to make in a turn, which usually would just be between 0 and 1, but still, if for whatever reason you were rolling 2, say you had to do a willpower check or an endurance check, you know, something like that, you could say, oh, well, it's coming off of that and not the attack or defense roll. I forgot about defense rolls actually, so it's a little weird the way it's worded, but that is how it's supposed to work. A dice is removed from a roll per turn for 3 of the Teen Titans. It would normally be 4, but again, because of Dick, it brings it down. So anyway, Beast Boy in his Hawk form and Hawk and Dove are down here. Sorry, I pointed to the wrong ones. Hawk and Dove. And then we have the Butcher, Lincoln Marsh, and Talon over here. We have Dick and Starfire here, and again, you can see who has Audacity. And Strix and Zhao over there. Oh, I really hope that's his name, because I did not double check. Anyway, we are now ready, I believe, to jump into Battle Round 1. So Strix got the game started for the Court of Owls, who stole initiative for turn 1, or didn't steal it, they just won the roll. She started with Audacity, she did a move action, and then as her tactical action, she placed down a suspect marker. Didn't trigger any objectives, but you know how it goes in turn 1 for this edition of the game. Over to the Teen Titans. So did you notice what was missing from the table? Oh, you did, that's good, because I didn't. So, yes, the setup for the table totally forgot to put down sewer markers and lights. A little annoying because obviously everything's deployed now, so you can do it for advantage, but just had to do it. Totally forgot. This is why you shouldn't start battle reports early in the morning. You're going to have your Weetabix. So anyway, sewer markers down, some lights as well. Apologies, totally forgot this was obviously used recently for our Marvel Crisis Protocol battle reports, so it's only slightly altered, and that didn't have the sewers, etc. Anyway, the next activation, the first one for the Teen Titans, was Dick. He is very quick, so he activated with Audacity, moved there, and threw his batarangs at Strix, and he whiffed. He whiffed entirely, and she is visible, she has stealth, but obviously you have to be within 8 to throw a short range weapon anyway, so she could be hit regardless of whether there's a lamp there or not, just so we're clear with that. Back over to the Court of Owls. Zhao was next up, and I double checked it, that is his name, just in case, made too many mistakes already today. He did not have Audacity, so all he did was a movement action, which has put him right next to Strix there, guarding the suspect marker, and bearing down on Dick over there. So that's it, over to Teen Titans again. So next up was Starfire. She used her special action to activate Fly, which gives her 8 inches of extra movement, plus she can just go over anything she wants. She flew straight on over here into base to base with Zhao and struck at him with her superpowered 3 stun punches. And remember, she did lose 1 die from the attack. Dick lost 1 from his throw. She didn't do that well on a roll, honestly, but the strength I got through, because she's super strong, so she's a 2+ strength. So that got through without defense and did 3 stun damage to Zhao, and that was it for her turn. The Talon Assassin activated with Audacity. He did a movement action, and then his tactical was a manipulate to put down another suspect marker within AoE of that lamp there that's mysteriously appeared that wasn't there at the start of the match. So that's it. That's all he could do. Now it's over to either Beast Boy, Hawk, or Dove. So Dove bit the bullet and activated without Audacity, so all she could do was a movement action 10 inches. She stopped just shy of that to be into base to base with the sewer grating that also mysteriously vanished, appeared rather. And that's all. This side is kind of like trying to buy time to make this side activate, so then they're free to move and or attack. And it is over to either Lincoln Marsh or the Butcher to activate next for the Court of Owls. So it was Lincoln to activate next, and he threw a bit of a curveball. He activated Fly as well, much like Starfire did, and he went all the way over here, just able to fit in. Don't mind the Audacity kind of hanging off the table there, but yeah, he is gunning for either maybe going around behind them, or maybe gunning for the deployment zone over here in this corner, because that's the interesting thing about the deployment type for this map. There's 2 small deployment zones for each side on each corner, so let's see if they can play into that. Hawk was the next one to activate, and I had a horrible moment there where I wondered whether or not I called Dove by her correct name or called her Hawk as well. Again, early morning recording, this is the last. Anyway, Hawk activated with Audacity, he did a move, and then he placed a suspect marker, the first of the Teen Titans suspect markers down there, didn't trigger any objective cards, just did that. So now, because both sides had the same number of units, Gotham Butcher has to activate, they don't have any pass markers, and then it'll be back to Beast Boy for the end of the first battle round. So we do find ourselves at the end of battle round 1, and I realised I didn't say on camera which members of the Teen Titans were given in experience points. It was Dick, Starfire, and Beast Boy. And it's always going to be 3 out of the 4 that have Audacity, because why wouldn't you? It's the obvious tactic. So anyway, the Gotham Butcher activated with Audacity, but he just moved to where you can see him. He moved his full distance. And then Beast Boy activated, he used Flight in his bird form for his special action. He moved to where you can see him, he revealed the suspect marker that had been placed there by the Talon, and triggered Comb Through the Evidence. Reveal an enemy suspect marker. Additionally, when you score this objective, you may draw 1 additional objective card, then you must discard 1 of them, which has been done. And that does take us to the end phase of battle round 1 to see if anything else scores. I'm not sure if they will, but let's see. So it turns out there is no additional objective cards being played, there is no stun damage to heal, no recoveries to do either. It will be Teen Titans going first as we jump into Battle Round 2. So to get started, let's cover who got inexperience points and also that Beast Boy has transformed into his gorilla form. Dick Grayson, Starfire, again it was the ones with Audacity, and Beast Boy, they got the inexperience tokens. Anyway, it was a very interesting turn for Starfire. She activated, still in base to base with the Talon. She attacked, it was only her strength die that got through, but again because of her steel hands she does 3 stun damage per punch, so she actually knocked him out. And then she did a movement action to go over here, and that's when a combo happened. They Won't See Me Coming was played as a resource. For one of the 3 resource points you can spend in a turn, one of your models with the leader, sidekick or free agent rank, she's a free agent, may perform a manipulate action during its activation without spending an action. So she, forgot to put it down there, again early morning curse, but she is placing a suspect marker behind her, which in turn is then comboing to score, because again you can play 1 card as an objective and 1 as a resource. Stake your claim, place a suspect marker within the enemy deployment zone. So that is being scored for 1 as well. I'll go grab a suspect marker now and put it there. But yeah, that was a very effective turn for Starfire. Let's see what the Court of Owls can do about that. So the first activation for the Court of Owls was the Gotham Butcher with Audacity. He did a movement action to get right into Dove's face, and then he attacked her. Didn't do super well with the rolls. I also totally forgot to mention though, in the previous attack, Starfire, seeing that reminded me, Starfire did effort herself once to counter losing the dice from inexperience. That's why she had the stun marker next to her. Anyway, 1 claw attack got through on Dove for 1 blood, 1 stun. Not nearly as much you would think the Gotham Butcher could do. Plus, just a reminder, in 3rd edition, his The Murderer role means that he can only score objective cards related to knocking out or making people casualties. He couldn't get one for, say, revealing a suspect marker or placing one of his own in a deployment zone, etc, etc. Has to be related to KOing or casualtying an enemy miniature. Nightwing activated and he is playing the objectives rather than going for knockouts. With Audacity he did a move action and then a manipulate to remove the suspect marker that had been there next to Strix in order to score Disturbance. Reveal an enemy suspect marker. After revealing it you must have more suspect markers than your opponent to score this card. That is 2 now playing 0, so it does score for 2 victory points. The Talon was the next activate. With Audacity, move position slightly to where you can see him, and then attack to Beast Boy in his gorilla form, which is +1 defense, which is the only relevant thing here, although it does get +1 attack as well, or strength rather. And did not, well, he did okay actually. His rolls were pretty good, and he used his handy and sharp owl knife, which only does 1 blood, and the defense rolls were just out of this world, so only the strength die attack got through. 1 blood. Done to the gorilla form. The gorilla form has 4 HP, so it is doing fine. So the Teen Titans have a plan and they're sticking to it. Beast Boy activated with Audacity. He did not just try and strike back the Talon, he ignored him, ran away all the way into their deployment zone, placed a marker, and as you can hopefully see, despite the glare, it is not a normal suspect marker, it is a snitch. We've seen this card enough times that I don't need to go over it yet again. It's in play. Lincoln could probably get back there in time to cancel it, but he had other plans for where he was going, so it's just a case of what is the most beneficial thing to do. I guess we'll see. This is in play now though until the end of a turn. Strix was next up and she did her best to murder Nightwing, but he would rather stay alive and did his best to do so. She attacked him with her paired katanas, handy and sharp. All said and done, 4 blood damage though. This Nightwing has 7 endurance, so not too many left. She had to move slightly to be in base to base with him, so that was her other action for having Audacity. He's hurting, but not dead yet. Dove was next up for the Teen Titans. She activated without Audacity, so she just decided to stand still. Now, her best attack is a ranged attack, and it doesn't have light, so she can't use it in close combat, and she didn't have Audacity, so she couldn't pull back and shoot. So she was just left doing her 1 stun punches. 1 got through, all said and done, so she did 1 stun damage to the Butcher, which isn't exactly a ton. Well, I mean, he's got 7 willpower, which is 1 less than his endurance, so no, not really. Anyway, it's over to Lincoln Marsh now to end the turn for the Court of Owls. So Lincoln didn't have much choice. He did have another plan, but stopping Beast Boy from scoring 3 victory points is the safe bet. He activated Fly for a special action to get into base to base, more importantly within 4 inches of that, so the Snitch card will not score, and discourse on the last time Snitches were used. The consensus seems to be If a snitch does not score, it reverts to a normal suspect marker at the end of the turn. It doesn't just disappear, so that's what will happen here. Hopefully that's correct. Anyway, he attacked Beast Boy with his retractable claws and managed to do 3 blood, 3 stun, 3 blood of which was enough to finish off the gorilla form, and as per the upgrade card rule, the excess damage gets applied to his base body, so the 3 stun is being applied to him, and he's still conscious though. He has, well, he's only got 4 HP and 6 willpower, I think, in his normal form, but he will get the chance to switch forms again at the Raise the Plan phase next. Anyway, it's over to Hawk to end off the turn. So there is no amazing final activation for the turn. Hawk did activate with Audacity. He just tried to beat up the Gotham Butcher and whiffed spectacularly with his attacks, embarrassingly so, all 1s and 2s. So nothing to be done there, and that does take us to the end of battle round 2. So we'll see if Zhao wakes up. Obviously the snitch card isn't scoring, and everything else that we need to cover. So Zhao did not wake up, so he'll be missing another turn. There is no objective cards being played at the end of the phase, and with that we're going into battle round 3, so we'll see if anything plays. Oh, and also, everybody who has at least 1 stun damage that is also conscious, so not Zhao, will heal 1 stun damage. So the Butcher is back to full health, Beast Boy is down to 2 stun, Starfire's back to full, well, willpower health, not blood health. And the only really badly injured person on the table currently is Dick Grayson. So anyway, let's get into battle round 3. So as we get started with the penultimate battle round, I'll just look around the table so you can see who has Audacity, but it's basically the exact same people. The same goes for the inexperience points. There is no objective cards being played at the start of the match here, and Beast Boy has become his Tiger form. I think that covers everything. Oh, it is the Court of Owls who will be going first. Both initiative rolls were equal, and the way it works in 3rd edition after turn 1 is if you roll equal, whoever did not get first activation last turn gets it this turn. So that's why it's Court of Owls, just so we're clear, and let's jump into their first activation. So taking full advantage of getting first activation, Strix activated, and first of all did an attack action on Nightwing. Poor Nightwing never gets to do anything. 6 blood, plus the damage he already had. He is gone as a casualty, which in turn triggered Dirty Job, make an opponent KO or casualty for 1 victory point. That is the Court of Owls on the scoreboard. This is where things could start to turn though. She then did a movement action to run away, because now that Dick Grayson is dead, True Love Dick Grayson is triggered for Starfire, so she's even stronger, which is somewhat scary. Beast Boy was next up, decided that discretion is the better part of valor, and with Audacity bravely ran away. Over here, behind Talon, attacked him, only 1 claw attack got through with the Tiger form for 1 blood, 1 stun, and that was it, he did nothing else. The Gotham Butcher activated with Audacity, moved away from the combat he was in to pick on poor Beast Boy in his Tiger form, and obliterated him with a total of 4 blood, 4 stun. Now the first 3 blood is applied to the endurance of the Tiger form, which meant that the 4 stun, 1 blood still got through to Gar, and he's knocked out. Because he already had 2 stun on him, he has 6 endurance, he is knocked out. And in turn, the Gotham Butcher has scored Dirty Job, because again it's connected to KOing or casualtying, so he's allowed to via the Murderer rule for 1 victory point. Good enough. Sylve activated with Audacity and first of all put some distance between her and the Talons gathering, and she fired her light projections, at the Gotham Butcher's back and did really well with her rolls on the strength and the 1 other die. 4 stun, 2 blood, that's 3 and 1 each. Sorry, 2 and 1 each. I can do basic maths, not this early in the morning, but in general. So that's quite a bit of damage to him, although he is still very much kicking. So now it's over to either Talon or Lincoln to be the next activation for Court of Owls. Lincoln March was in the next activate, and you might have recognised this move. He did. He activated Fly for a special. He moved there, did nothing else. Was that what he did in his first turn? Yes, yes it was. So with that, it's over to either Starfire or Hawk next for the Teen Titans. So Hawk activated and did not have Audacity, so he instead just did a manipulate to take the Surge Ring right there to be between Lincoln, who's there, and Strix, who's over there, which is pretty dangerous, but you know how he is, he's hard-headed. Will say, totally forgot he did not have Audacity and did a turn as if he did. Would have been great if he had it, because he moved and attacked the Gotham Butcher and did 10 stun and would have knocked him out, but then realised he did not have Audacity, so he can't move and attack. So, c'est la vie. Now then, it's over to the Talon to end the turn off for Court of Owls. So we actually find ourselves at the end of the penultimate battle round. Both of the final activations for both teams have been done. Talon activated with Audacity and opted just to move to where you can see him. Starfire activated Fly as a special action so that she could catch up with Strix. Didn't do too well on her roll, only her strength I got through for 3 stun. Strix is still conscious and will definitely be getting an activation. There's no objective cards to be played, so as far as cleanup goes, everyone who's conscious with at least 1 stun heals a stun. And yeah, that's pretty much it, so I'm pretty sure we can just jump into the setup for the final battle round. So here's how the setup is looking for the last battle round. It will be the Teen Titans going first. Obviously there's only 4 survivors, so they all have Audacity, and the only one without a inexperienced token is Dove. And you can see Audacity for the Court of Owls as well. There is no cards being played in the Raise the Plan phase for the objective. And I think we're just ready to get started. I've not been mentioning, but we have been doing the expose for the one model per turn that isn't allowed to play objectives. It hasn't mattered. Both teams have been getting very unlucky, I think, with just drawing cards that aren't as applicable because they're not custom tailor-made, I guess, to either the crew you're playing as or the team you're playing as. But we can talk more about that at the end of the match. For now, though, let's get this final round started. So to get the round started, Starfire activated, although first I can't remember if I mentioned that Zhao woke up. Obviously I always get 2 chances. He did wake up, Beast Boy did not. Anyway, she punched Strix's lights out for 3, 1 hit got through, Strix is knocked out. She then just did a move to be close to Hawk well, actually you need more than 2 teammates nearby to activate the Teen Titans buff for staying in formation. I forgot what it's called offhand. Either way, Strix will not be getting a turn, that's her out for the rest of the game, but it is over to the Court of Owls for their first activation. Simple activation next, the Talon just going for points with Audacity, moved well into one of the deployment zones for the Teen Titans and is placing a suspect marker which is not next to him because it fell off the table. There it is there. And that scored Stake Your Claim, place a suspect marker within the deployment zone, enemy deployment zone rather, for 1 victory point. Dawn Granger activated, otherwise known as Dove. She fired another light projection at the Gotham Butcher's back. Another 2 hits got through for 4 stun, 2 blood. He is very much unconscious and will not be getting an activation. Didn't activate any objective cards by doing that, that was purely out of spite, but it took him out. So that means that Zhao and Lincoln are the last 2 left because Strix is unconscious as well. So Lincoln activated with Audacity, he did a move action, he placed down a suspect marker, which in the a copy of the Talon's turn also scored a Stake Your Claim for 1 victory point. That's it. So now it's just Hawk. Yeah, it's just Hawk for the Teen Titans and then over to Zhao for the Court of Owls to end the game. So Hawk with Audacity retreated over here, placed a suspect marker, and it became a snitch. That could be very important. So that objective is a snitch. Zhao I don't think can get over here. Maybe he can make it to Sur to counter it. I guess we'll see, but yeah, that could be 3 victory points waiting there for the Teen Titans after 1 more activation. So Zhao activated with Audacity, he moved to that Sur grating and then teleported all the way over here just so he's within 4, meaning that Snitch will not score as we reach the end of the game. That is it, nothing else to be done unless there's any phase 4 cards to be played. I don't believe there is, but we'll double check and then see who's won. So here are our 2 piles of shame. On the left, Teen Titans, on the right, Court of Owls. A very low scoring affair on both sides. So Teen Titans got 2, 3, 4, 5, playing 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not a decisive victory by any means, especially because they were dropping like flies near the end there, but the Teen Titans have won by a single victory point. So I do feel to a certain extent this was a perfect example of the neutral deck, although the Teen Titans only had like half neutral cards. If you draw just the neutral ones, they were basically in the same position as the Court of Owls, which was, yeah, you might score the occasional victory point for putting a suspect marker down or revealing a suspect marker or killing or KOing someone. They're all like 1 point apiece. They're not tailored to the team or the crew you're playing as. Don't necessarily expect night models to do team specific decks, because again there's rules for it. If somehow you had a team that was comprised of Batman and Penguin or whatever, you could take objective cards from them if a Penguin deck existed. I think it was just bad luck of the drawing from the objective deck that the Teen Titans only saw like 2 snitch cards and There was a comb through everything, I think, or whatever that's called, for revealing a suspect marker on an edge. Didn't draw any of the other easier to score and also high scoring Batman specific cards. Court of Owls, they were working with what they had. Most of the neutral cards are low scoring. There was a few in there for having more suspect markers, but even models, and they're built for killing. The neutral deck doesn't suit them at all. They need a League of Assassins-esque deck where it's about murder and prelude to murder and being sneaky and whatnot. They need a unique deck. They can't play well with the scoring 1 point dirty jobs. That's what they can do. It's not their fault. It's the lack of custom objectives for 3rd edition crews. And it's unacceptable that there's so many that are there's some that are almost literally unplayable, like Riddler and Penguin. But then there's some like Court of Owls where you can play and you can go for kills and such, but you're out in the lurch when it comes to getting victory points, especially if the opponent just happens to draw their uniquely tailored high scored ones. What can you do? Anyway, that's enough complaining about that. We do know that the Soldier of Fortune objective deck is the next one coming because there's Soldier of Fortune releases coming. I don't like that it seems like Knight doesn't care about the previous crews and will instead bring out objective decks only when said crews get new releases. In other words, after these new Soldier of Fortune releases, if they decide to release, I don't know, like Hush or like the Riddler, it's the Hush from the movie or whatever, I haven't seen it, it's not as good as the book. Then they might decide, then we'll do a Riddler deck. They're not doing it because it's the right thing to do to tailor 2nd edition miniatures to 3rd edition so that they still have a player base, which would be the smart thing to do. They're instead just waiting till they have new releases, so it makes sense to bring it all out together to hopefully encourage you to buy the new stuff as well. It's not smart. They're not the smartest in general. It's pretty shocking. I'm not surprised so many people are upset with how they're handling 3rd edition. It's dead on arrival essentially, which is a shame because it plays well, and if you have two teams that have uniquely tailored objective decks, it can turn out pretty thematic, which is nice. That's what we want here. Anyway, enough rambling. I hope you enjoyed this battle report. There will be more in the future. I might just have to stick to like Batman, Joker and whatnot. Or, those Birds of Prey releases from March could finally arrive and then we could have another proper objective deck. Fingers crossed. Anyway, see you next time. Ta-da for now.